I'm Mary Stutz, and welcome to the Mary Factor, Power to Transform. You're in for a treat today, as you're going to get to listen in on one of my talks given during my book tour for my new book, The Missing Mentor, Women Advising Women on Power, Progress, and Priorities. The book has been dubbed a surrogate mentor by many of the journalists who interviewed me, but it tells women how to advance your career with or without a mentor. Stay tuned, you're going to enjoy it, and I'll be back right after this.
I'm Kirsten Gorsuch, and I am Vice President of Corporate Communications and co-chair of the VP Women's Network. We are thrilled to be having this event today, and me personally to have a friend and a colleague, Mary Stutz, here to speak with you about a topic that I know you all are very passionate about. By way of introduction, I just want to make sure everybody also knows we do have several participants on Medtronic TV. And so in addition to everybody in this room, those of you on Medtronic TV, if you have a question during the Q&A session, feel free to email to the address that we provided earlier, and we'll get your question up to Mary for the Q&A period. So by means of introduction, Mary Stutz has worked in healthcare communications for more than 25 years. Mary has had a long and distinguished career in communications at other healthcare companies, included United Health Group here in the Twin Cities, Genentech, Bayer, and Kaiser Permanente. She's the author of 2 books and is a distinguished lecturer and regularly featured at conferences like this, along with television and print appearances. Her second book, and the one that she's going to be talking about today, The Missing Mentor, Women Advising Women on Power, Progress, and Priorities, hit bookstores this past June. And her first book, 10 Keys to Overcoming Disappointment, was released in 2005 and is in its second printing. And she is a member of a number of professional and community organizations, including serving on the board of directors of the Wellness Community and the Gildas Club Worldwide, as well as CASA, court-appointed special advocates for foster children in the court system. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mary. If you have not picked up a book, you're welcome to take a free copy of Mary's book and have that with you either before or after, and Mary is going to be available at the end of her session to sign if you're interested in a book signing. She's going to talk for a few minutes, 30 minutes or so, and then she's going to take Q&A for as long as you all are interested in asking questions. So I encourage you all to participate, and we'll have someone with a microphone who will be in the audience who can come around if you have a question. So with that, Mary, welcome to Medtronic.
Thank you, Kirsten, and thank you to everybody who came out today to hear me speak. I'm so excited to talk to you guys about the book and about the topic of mentoring. It's interesting because I did not originally set out to be an advocate for mentors for women, but it evolved as I was going out speaking, and just in the course of my work as the head of communications at various companies, just as Kirsten is, and typically we are asked to go out and speak. And when I would go out and speak, I would have so many women inevitably coming up to me afterwards saying, "Wow, I really enjoyed what you had to say. Would you mentor me?" And initially, I tried to mentor them all. And after a while, I realized, okay, that's not working. So I came up with the idea of wanting to have the ability to help folks who were asking for mentoring because, at the end of the day, I saw myself in these women. They're bright, ambitious, a lot to offer, wanting to give more and do more and be more. And I thought, well, I know what I'll do. I'll write a book and tell them what I would tell them if I had time to tell them. And so that's what I did. And I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit today. And as Kirsten said, I'll probably talk for about half an hour, but I really like the Q&A. That's my favorite part of the presentation. So I want to give you some facts and information and background, and then I want to open it up for Q&A, so please don't be shy. So we'll just run through why mentoring is important, the core elements of mentoring, the derailers. I have a thing right here in front of me that tells me what the slide says, and the takeaways. So as I said, why mentoring is important. So when I went out and started working on the book, I found that there were a lot of women who also had this burden of wanting to help and wanting to mentor, but not having the, I think I want to go back. Okay. But not having the ability to do that. And what I found was that a couple of things. One is that men do more mentoring than women, and that's a good thing. So if you have a male mentor, by all means, please work with him and take advantage of that. That's great. And when I would talk to women who would come up to me and say, would you mentor me? I'd say, well, do you have like your boss or somebody that you work with? And a lot of times, invariably, they would say, yes, my boss mentors me, or my supervisor or whatever, but it's a man. And they said that I want to talk to women who've moved up the ladder, who have dealt with the same types of challenges that I am dealing with, and the same types of decision making. Because at the end of the day, there are just places that men will not go when mentoring and when talking to you. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think maybe in my whole career, I've heard one man mention work-life balance, right? You just don't, for the most part, hear them talking about that. I also, as we did the research, we found that women in leadership, no matter how high up a woman goes in her career, she still has the primary accountability for home and family. About 90% of men in senior executive levels, the C-suite, have stay-at-home spouses. About 80% of women in senior management levels or C-suite jobs have spouses who work. So then, the primary accountability for home and family falls on them, and as a result, that cuts into their ability to mentor. And when I was laughing with Kirsten when I talked to her about this, as I worked on the book and I shared my information on how I advanced my career with and without a mentor, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be great if I talked to women from other career paths, lawyers, doctors, finance, or whatever, and let them tell how they advanced their career with or without mentors. So there are 10 women profiled in the book who are sharing how they advanced their careers. And it's so amazing because these are women in very senior level roles, and everyone that I approached was just like, yes, that is so true. I would love to mentor, but I don't have time to do it. And here's all the stuff I would say, and it was like, blah, like here's everything. So, I'm just typing as fast as I can and trying to get it all down. But so the missing mentor is actually referring to women in senior management who would be mentors if they had the time to mentor, and they're sharing their experiences and how they advance their careers. So I want to talk to you about why mentoring is so important. When I did an interview with Tavis Smiley not too long ago about the book, and one of the first questions he asked me was, well, women seem to be doing okay to me. You look in California, you've got Meg Whitman running for governor, Carly Fiorina running for senator. A new study just came out that women have surpassed men in the workforce. There are more women than men in the workforce. And he says, so women seem to be doing okay to me. And I said, yeah, they are in the workforce, but guess what? What are they doing in the workforce? How are they advancing? What roles are they in? Here at Medtronic, you have 65 VPs are women out of 400 in a 40,000 employee organization. So yes, women are in the workforce, but a 2005 study that we cite in the book suggests that there's an imbalance between male and female work experiences that develop managerial experiences conducive to developing strategic thinking abilities. So what do I mean by that? So this study was put together in 2005 to determine what were the key job experiences necessary to develop strategic thinking ability. One of the findings of the study that they weren't even looking for, this was not even what they were looking for, was that women were not getting access to the experiences that were going to allow them to move up in their career. And these are the types of experiences. Number one is mentoring. That's the number one experience that you will need to develop general managerial learning and strategic thinking. The other one are things like job rotations, things like scope expansions, leads in a startup, or helping the company deal with a difficult situation or crisis or a challenging assignment, having accountability for a P&L center, profit and loss center that you are managing. These are the types of experiences that are necessary if you want to move up the career ladder, and not enough women are getting access to these experiences. Now, you think about as far as wanting to get mentoring from a woman. Again, if you look at the most recent data, what is it, 67%, I believe, of college graduates now in the US are women. And it's even higher in Europe. So you have those women flooding into the marketplace, plus the women already in the marketplace, right, looking to move up. And then you have this small amount of women at the top in leadership positions, and you do the math. They can't do it. There's no way that they can mentor all of the women who are flooding the marketplace. So then we have to be creative in how we get access to the information and the experiences that we need. Number one thing, just before we go any further, when you look at this list and you may be overwhelmed by it, one of the primary reasons why women don't get access to these types of experiences, what do you think it is? They don't ask. Hello. That is the primary reason why they don't get it. They don't even ask. Unfortunately, women have the perception. One of the women I interviewed in the book was Eunice Azani with Korn Ferry. She was like the Uber executive recruiter, and she just retired and started her own family-run recruiting business. But she has recruited for major Fortune 500 companies all over the world, and she talked about the differences, how women don't negotiate. Women think if I just show up at work every day, put my head down and do a good job, somebody will notice and promote me. And guess what? That's not going to happen. That is so rare that that happens. But so there are a lot of reasons why we're not getting these experiences. It's not always, there's no Uber conspiracy of men against women. Sorry if you thought I was going to tell you that, because there isn't. A lot of it is that we have to take charge and take control of our own career path and our own planning. But just to give you some facts about mentoring, we did a survey. In addition to the results from that 2005 survey, we thought, well, we're getting all this anecdotal data, but let's do a survey and find out how close to on track we are. So we did a survey on LinkedIn, and 93% of the women surveyed think that having a mentor is important to her career success. Now that's good because, like we said, mentoring is number one to your developing the experiences that you need to move ahead. 83% think having a female mentor is important to her career success. 67% of the women surveyed have no strong female mentor. 76% said that they don't have time to fully devote themselves to being a career mentor. And then 62% say that they've never participated in a formal mentoring program. So let me just give you a little bit, again, perception about the formal mentoring program. Most companies where I've worked typically will have a formal mentoring program, but you're talking 10 or 12, depending on how big the company is, maybe 20 people per year going through that program, men and women. So again, you do the math. As far as the possibility of your getting into a formal mentoring program, it's not that strong. But again, this is about you taking control of your career. So in the book, we lay out the core elements of mentoring that I have found over the course of my career to be very important in helping you to grow and develop and advance your career. So the first thing is building confidence. So now I know that you hear people talk about confidence and you hear the importance of being a confident person, but let me just talk to you a little bit about what that means. When I talk about confidence, I'm talking about controlling how you show up, being present in the moment. I worked with, it's being familiar with your materials. I worked with an executive at one company where the financial community had some real problems with her, and we were getting feedback. And this is crucial because this was a C-suite person, chief somebody. And they said, well, she's a talking head. And so what does that mean? It's like, well, we did this much revenue, and we did da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, we're putting on a little show, and women are such people pleasers. There was no authority. It undermined, and this is a very talented, skilled person, so I'm not talking about someone who was not qualified for their job. I'm talking about your presence, how you show up in a room. It's how you speak. It's how familiar you are with your material. It's being confident enough to say, I don't know the answer, but here's what I do know. So how you show up is very important. And I have a very funny anecdote in the book about when I did my first leadership class at Stanford University, and the professor he invited people to come up who were participating in the class. And these were executives from Silicon Valley, from biotech, from all these places. And he invited everybody to come up and say why they were in this leadership class. And, and so the first couple people came up and talked about why they did it. And I thought, this is not that hard. I'll come up and do it. This was some years ago. And so I came up, and I gave my little spiel about, I took the class because I felt like I wanted to advance my career and that I wasn't getting all the opportunities that I wanted at Kaiser, and I wanted to move into this new career path and all that. And, and so I thought, okay, I did my little thing. I'm good. And then he says, okay, stay there. And then he says, okay, so Mary, when you grew up, did you give a lot of speeches and, say little poems and stuff like that? And I'm like, yeah. And he says, yeah, and you did little pirouettes and did it, and I'm like, no, he is not embarrassing me in front of all of these people. It's like, where is a good earthquake when you need one? I just wanted to just sink into the floor. And he says, that's the people-pleasing Mary. And you're not going to get anywhere in your career trying to please everybody. He says, now, I want you to do it again. You feel like your parents cleaned the bathroom again. You didn't clean it. Do it again. And this time, I want you to be the real, authentic Mary, the one that you're afraid to let out because you think people won't like her. And so after that humiliation, I did it again. And this time, I did it with the conviction. I did it with the take it or leave it. This is how I feel. You can take it or leave it. It's okay. I won't be upset if you leave it. But here it is. Take it or leave it. And that was the first thing I learned about being a leader, that being a leader is not, these 10 things that you do to be a leader. Being a leader is a way of being. It is how you present yourself. It's how you carry yourself. It's how you deliver information. It's how you show up in a room. And so for us, for women, that's very crucial. We make a lot of mistakes when we show up in how we show up in the room. Catherine Arnold was interviewed in the book. She's one of the senior analysts at Credit Suisse who is about to deliver, if she has not just delivered, triplets. But she talked about in the financial community how terrifying it was for her as a woman, because Wall Street is very dominated by men, and the things that she would see women doing as far as the mistakes, like if you're sitting in the room, a table, with speakers, and the speaker's standing there, and starting to cough or something, the woman will get up and go get some water to give to the speaker. We're natural nurturers, while the men sit there firmly in their seats. They won't move. They don't care. Kid could choke to death. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. But the point is that, so she said, because we are natural nurturers, that she developed the habit of, if you saw somebody in distress or whatever, of passing the water down to the men to say, give it to the speaker or whatever, as opposed to getting up, running over there and doing it herself. These are just little small things, but it just to help you think and understand how you are showing up in a room, because it does matter. What's the saying? You never get a second chance to make a first impression. So we need to think about these things, but understand who you are, what you value, what you contribute. Always be in command of your material. These are things to help you. Focus on what you know. Don't worry about what you don't know, because you really do know a lot to get to where you've gotten. So focus on what you know. Speak with conviction, with no barriers between you and your audience. You don't have to hide. Now, I have notes over here, but I don't typically like to have much between me and my audience, because all of that adds to your credibility, that you know what you're talking about and you're confident in your material. You need to have a trusted third party to bounce things off of. It could be, a mentor, maybe not. Maybe it's just a trusted third party. We need to make sure that we get a broader definition of mentoring and who a mentor is, so that you don't feel like you don't have any choices. And the most important thing that I like to talk about is creating a plan and asking for opportunities. Now, a couple of things. Why is it so important for you to be confident? This is something I learned a little bit later in my career, but it was very valuable. Leaders of most companies are terrified. They are terrified. That C-suite of folks, they are terrified. If you go ask them what keeps you up at night, there's not one of them that won't have a list of things that keeps them up at night. They are terrified. They have billions of dollars of revenue that they are accountable for, businesses that they have to grow, thousands of employees whose livelihood and jobs depends on them making the right business decisions and keeping that company moving forward. So they are terrified. They are looking for people to help them. I'm sorry, they don't come to work every day to figure out how to help you. They are looking for people who can come in and help them make this company be successful. And they are looking for folks who are confident in what they know. So your confidence is going to be very important, because they need to know if they can trust you under fire when things get tough. Will you keep your head, or will you lose it like our JetBlue airline attendant? So this is why confidence is so important. So please do not underestimate that, because people are looking for confident, capable, competent people that they can advance in the company, who are going to help them run the business. You need to prioritize your work-life choices. Now, this is something that I also, if you will notice, I don't think we should use the term work-life balance, because there's no such thing. It's work-life choices. You have to choose. Your company, your boss, your spouse, well, maybe your spouse, but your company and your boss are not responsible for your work-life balance. You are responsible for that. It's the choices that you make. And we need to understand. And what I like to say to women is that you can have it all, just not at the same time. You're going to have to make some choices. And there are things, I say to women that are newly entering the workforce, you need to develop a plan. You need to understand your company, your business that you've chosen, and get some understanding with that, and get a plan for where you want to go, in the next 3, 5, 10 years. If you're mid-level in your career already, you need to start taking some risks. It's time for you to start trying something that, you might fail. Take the risk, or otherwise you will get stuck in a rut and you will become resistant to change. And I have worked with people like that, and it is not a pleasant experience, because they have let the moment pass and they are afraid of change and taking chances, and their thoughts aren't there. They're not being innovative. They're not contributing to the brainstorming and the innovation of the company and kind of the continuous quality improvement. They've kind of shut down. So you don't want to be that way. You want to start taking some risks. Go after that job that you put off for all this time, or go back to school, or whatever it is. We have in the book, and each chapter there's a case study of different women and actual questions that I've actually gotten and answered, and worked through with women what they should do in the various situations, whatever they asked for. So you will enjoy that. But the point is that you will need to take some chances in your career And you need to start looking now at what might those chances be if you're mid-level, if you've been in the workforce beyond 5 years or more. It's time for you to start taking some risks. And prioritization is up to you. Talk to your family and your kids. I have another funny anecdote in this chapter about when I went to graduate school. And oh my gosh, I was in graduate school with 3 children and a husband, so 4 kids, and working full time. And, and it just seemed like everything just went crazy and fell apart. And to the point that I called like the employee, the EAP, the employee assistance hotline, to talk to a counselor. It's like, hello. And it was a gentleman on the phone. He's like, yes, may I help you? He's like, I'm in graduate school, and my husband and my kids have just gone crazy. Or maybe it's me, and tell me if it's me, because I think I need to quit graduate school. And, and the guy is like, okay, so tell me about, graduate. It's like, well, yeah, I'm in graduate school. My boss, who was my mentor, recommended that I go to graduate school. And if you have a mentor and they give you some advice like that, you should probably do it. Although in the book we talk about times where sometimes your mentor may give you advice and you shouldn't do it. So don't lose your mind just because you have a mentor. But keep thinking. But anyway, and I'm like, so I'm in graduate school, and I said, but my husband, he says, yeah. So what are you studying? Well, I'm getting my master's degree in health administration. But my husband and my kid, well, how long have you been doing it? Well, a year and a half. And how much longer do you have? Well, just 6 more months. But my husband and my kid, well, so you're almost there. I mean, he never let me talk about my husband and my kids. Because it was not about my husband and my kids. It was about me. I had made these choices, and I was making progress with my goals. I was on track. And this is something that I was about to let get me off focus. I was on track, and I don't even remember everything that was today. I don't even remember what it was. But then it was the end of the world. So you have to have a plan, and you got to stick to your plan. You've got to stick to it. Building and nurturing relationships. So this is very important. I don't like to use the term networking, because to me it just sounds so exploitive. Like, meet people so they can help you get a job. I mean, that's what it sounds like, as opposed to, building and developing relationships.
Well, we're out of time today, but we will continue with part 2 next week. I hope you enjoyed the Mary Factor, Power to Transform today. What you heard was my book tour speech to vice presidents at Medtronic. And on next week, you'll hear the Q&A, where the women get to ask me specific questions about how to advance their career with or without a mentor. I want you to know that the purpose of the Mary Factor, the Power to Transform, is to help you transform not only your career, but your personal life, your spiritual life, and help you become more powerful and a greater contributor. So join us next week as we continue with part 2.